Hey moms, welcome back to the channel. And today we are continuing our Momestly dads with Reid.
Yeah, so in today's video, we're talking to our friend Reid. We talked about Reid in all kinds of other videos, especially I know the one for sure about parent advice and stuff like that. All good things. So Reid is 36. He has a son, Robert, that is 10 years old. And yeah, he's going to talk to us about his fatherhood journey thus far.
First off, I'm going to need timestamps for each time that you mention me, because you're going to get a bill.
Look, our shit is not monetized.
Neither's mine.
Well,
Gotta have it somehow.
anyway, yes. So tell us a little bit about your journey to fatherhood.
Well, it suddenly happened. I think we were married, my wife and I were married for about 6 months, 9 months or so. And she found out she was pregnant. And she was a couple months pregnant when she found out. So it wasn't anything that we had planned or even hinged the marriage on. But needless to say, it was interesting because at that point I was about maybe 800 miles away from anybody else that I consider family. So it was literally just us in the middle of nowhere. And at that point, I think I had maybe 2 or 3 friends down here in the state of Georgia where I live. So it was very, I don't want to say complicated. I had been through something similar when I was little. When I was 14, my littlest brother was born. So I had a general fresh memory of the entire experience from pregnancy to newborn to toddler. And I moved away shortly after that. So it was kind of an experience that I was used to as far as the whole, prenatal vitamins, doctor's visits, feeling the baby move, although there was a significant difference since it was mine and not a little brother.
Right.
Sure.
I couldn't get away with making him kick mom and then run away. Now it's making him kick his mom, which was my wife, and I had to stand there and get yelled at. And that didn't stop me, really. It just made it a longer experience. Now, as far as the actual childbirth portion, I was actually there in the room when my little brother was born. I missed my second day of high school just for that. So instead of going to orientation as a freshman, I went to a hospital room and saw things that I never wanted to see on my mom.
Because you wanted to be there or because you had to go? I'm just curious.
Most of it was I wanted to be there.
Okay.
Ever since I was really little, you go through the stages of I want to be a fireman, I want to be a policeman, or whatever you do when you're a kid. One of the things that I never forgot, though, is I wanted to be a dad. I've seen what my own dad went through, and as a kid, you only see the good stuff, really.
Sure.
You can't really remember the bad stuff, and if your parents are good at it, you'll never even know that was bad stuff to go through.
Yeah.
So while we didn't plan it, it was easy for me to do.
Okay. So so when you found out, was the kind of was the part really kind of short-lived? Were you excited pretty quickly?
I was.
Yeah.
At first, it completely bypassed the whole, you're an adult, so you have to actually deal with this now.
Sure.
And I was excited that it was happening after I was like, oh. And then back to, And I suddenly thought about how much it was going to cost, the entire process.
Yeah.
I'm like, this wasn't like I just go to school and come back and be like, there's a pregnant person. No, I wake up and she's there, and she's mad.
Oh man.
What was her pregnancy like?
For you?
It was actually
But yeah.
pretty easy, I should say.
Okay.
Yeah.
There weren't any big problems we had to work through. We were both had experience in it. This was not her first job. This was her
Oh,
second.
okay.
And again,
right.
it was technically not my first child.
Sure.
I count my little brother because I was actually in the room, when he was born. I helped get up with him when he would wake up and want to get fed in the middle of the night because my dad wasn't able to be around. He had to work a lot out of the house and was gone for days at a time.
Yeah.
So it was easy to sort of fill in there. But no huge thing with their pregnancy. As a matter of fact, when she went into labor, I was at work at the office, which is about 15 minutes away. And rather than having like one of those panicky like overnight bags already, both of us were sort of kind of used to the experience. So it was, we didn't build anything beforehand. We just got there and be like, all right, we need this, we need this, we need that.
Right.
Go, you take it. I'm going to get in the car. You got to watch. Okay, we got to time the contractions.
Right.
So, okay, real quick, talking about that part. Did you live in the same place you live now?
No.
Oh, you lived in a different city.
Technically. I mean, we were still in the same state, but our city was maybe 10 minutes away from where I am now.
Okay. Further from the hospital? Because I know how far you are from the hospital right now.
Yes.
Okay.
But we also didn't go to the nearest one. We went to...
So you went further. Because the nearest one is like a half an hour away.
Yeah. We drove 45 minutes to Northeast Georgia.
Okay. Oh. All right.
Yeah. That was one of the things that I knew was going to be a huge experience during this and really sort of color how our first couple of months with the kid was going to be, was what our experience was in the hospital. So I made sure to ask around everybody that I knew down here that had kids, what is a really good hospital that has a really good OB department?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great idea. Like, I guess because we are down in the city, it was kind of an obvious choice to go to North Side.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Just because it was right here. And I had not heard like literally 5 minutes. But where you live, it's like you have to drive. So that's part of the labor experience too, of like that time to get to the hospital. But did that affect anything on the drive, or was it just like?
I mean, a little bit. It's kind of hard to describe since the whole pregnancy, traveling to the hospital thing has sort of been, as a kid, you're almost desensitized to it with as many movies or videos or TV shows that are actually based around that. So there wasn't as much panic as I'd say you would be experiencing if it was, 10, 20, 30 years before.
Right.
Okay.
So driving there was less hectic and more of, I just don't want to get stuck behind somebody.
Right.
I know that she's good because we've talked about this already. And of course, you've seen it so many times in movies. And of course, it's always a little different.
Sure.
But the basics are pretty much always there. You time your contractions to make sure that they're so far apart. And if your water hasn't already broken, bring something that's going to catch a little bit of that.
Sure. Whereas it's possible, like if it had her water broken before you went, it did. Okay.
That's why she called me. She had, I think it was about maybe 2 months before we did the whole Braxton Hicks contractions. And I think that's where we got most of our panic out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we got the timer out and we're sitting there like, all right, well, this isn't right. They're actually getting closer together instead of further apart. What? And we went through all that. So when this happened, it wasn't like, oh my God, my water broke. It was just, phone rang. Hey, I'm pretty sure my water broke. Huh? Oh, okay, I'll be there. Hey guys, I gotta leave.
Yeah.
All right. And how was it in the hospital? I'm sure it's very different from your mom going through labor and your wife.
Uh, to be honest, between the two times, the birthing rooms didn't really change that much. By the time my mom had my little brother, they were already doing the birthing suites. So with someone else in the room, with a little curtain dividing it, with your bed and the stirrups and everything. So I was sort of used to the kind of environment that we're going to be in. You know, you had the bed, and then that had a nice big area so you can get plenty of people around it. And then over in the other corner, you had a recliner that would move down into a bed, and then you had a couch and everything like that. And then the rest of the room was pretty much open. So you could put the crib or the bassinet anywhere you wanted to. And if you had to have anything special, like from the NICU or anything, there was more than enough room. So there was no claustrophobic feeling or anything like that. As a matter of fact, the only negative experience of the whole thing actually didn't revolve around the room or around the nurses or even the actual process. It was the doctor.
Oh.
Yeah. That's one of those where you can ask as many people as you want, but given how often doctors and staff actually change inside of hospitals, you're never going to have a good, accurate gauge of what you're about to go through.
That's true. Yeah.
And whereas the doctor himself was actually good at what he was doing, he was bad at paying attention.
Gotcha.
He was more concerned with the medical student that was with him, because unbeknownst to me, Northeast Georgia is a teaching hospital.
It is a teaching hospital. Northside is also a teaching hospital. But there were no students in, so I got to pick my doctor, which was my doctor that I'd been with the whole time, that I've lived here. Only because we had a scheduled C-section though. It's the only reason. Otherwise, when you're in labor, you get who you get.
Whoever's there.
Yeah, whoever's there. But
mine was part of my regular OB's practice. She just wasn't someone I had met before because she worked at a different location.
Yeah.
But there were students in there. I just told them the students weren't allowed to touch me.
Yeah,
they could watch, but they were not allowed to help because it made me uncomfortable. It was like I didn't have a lot of like rules or like I'm going to do it this way and only this way. But my one thing was I didn't want students doing anything of any importance. They could watch, but they were not allowed to touch me. And so only the nurses that were actually like employed by the hospital and then the OB that was there was the only people that was allowed to do anything.
Yeah. And I saw students after, when I was already in a room. And they were going over like incisions and like post-care. Well, I had several check-ins with my staff and everything because of the incision and everything.
So
I had them in my OB appointments, but not a lot in the hospital.
So your C-section, that's the only kid you've had?
Just the one.
Let's count, Mike.
I don't usually count him like that.
I'm pretty sure all husbands fall in that same category.
I mean.
Oh, they do, but you didn't ask me. You asked her, so.
Anyways, back to Reid.
No, we didn't have the student do anything until the end. They sort of just asked, do you mind if the student watches? Which
it sounds dirty when you say it like that.
I know.
Carry on.
I don't think I can after that.
I'm sorry.
No, it's the problem with the student being there was a distraction to the doctor. He messed around so long that they missed the entire window for an epidural.
Oh.
So she had to do it naturally, whether she wanted to or not.
Wasn't what she wanted though, huh?
No. But that was only at the time. Retrospective, looking at the whole situation, she said if she was to have another kid, she would do it the same way because she healed 3 times faster than with her last kid, and postpartum wasn't nearly as severe. And her milk came in a lot easier.
I was going to say, I've already said that if we end up with another, that I won't be doing an epidural either. The after effects just weren't worth it, and it didn't work for me. I still felt everything. So the only thing that was numb was my leg, and that's not where the baby is coming from. So that was not helpful.
Not if it's coming out correctly.
Not if it's coming out correctly.
Well, fair enough. I had 2 and they didn't work. So I told Rick, I was like, I mean, I might as well. And then a lot of times they have to back you off of it anyway because it slows down the whole process. So
Did they give you
I've
an
already
option for
done
a
it
spinal?
once.
Did they give you an option for a spinal, or do they don't do that any longer?
Yeah, that's what it was. I had 2 of them. They put one in, and so it worked for, honestly, probably like 10 or 15 minutes. And then they were rotating me and flipping me to try to get it to wherever I don't know what the fuck the point of that was. And then I was like, no, seriously, like this shit isn't working. Like I'm in an immense amount of pain still. And so they were like, okay, we're going to get somebody else to come in and do another one. And I remember the nurse holding me, the same one that kept pulling the IV out of my hand because she would grab that hand when she would flip me. She was holding me, like helping me like sit up to prepare for it. And I would react to him putting it in. And she was like, you shouldn't feel that. Okay, bitch, but you see me moving when he's moving, right? Like that means, guess what? I can feel it.
I'm not doing this on purpose.
Yeah, like this isn't a magic trick. I'm not trying to be cute.
So
Yeah,
I
so we
actually
missed
have
that whole window.
I actually have another question about that. Now that you mentioned spinal,
Mhm.
was there did they leave a line in your back, Angel? Or no, there was no line in your back. So you had yours was different than mine because
I hope so.
Hers didn't work.
Well, yeah, you had
That
your everything. Yeah, no.
Mine had, when they did my epidural, because it was an epidural, it was not a spinal block. I know with C-sections, they give you a choice usually that I think my doctor knew that wasn't going to work for me probably, but they did an epidural and the line stayed in my back until the next day.
Yeah, no,
And it's
I
attached
didn't
to like
have
a little cartridge of medicine that pumps.
Right.
Yeah, she spent less than 5 hours before moving into a birthing suite, ready to have the kid.
Wow.
Yeah,
So,
but again, doctor wasn't keeping track of her dilation, so along with missing the window for the epidural, he missed the window to get the stirrups up on the bed. So
That's
not only
cool.
did I have to be Johnny on the spot with something to wipe her forehead and keep her calm and distract her during the actual contractions,
Yeah.
but then I also had to take one hand over here and hold her leg
And
up.
hold her leg.
Yeah. And at that
That's
point,
strange.
there's no not looking over here. There's no not seeing the business.
No, it's all there.
Yeah. Especially because you can't reach down underneath the person's knee.
Yeah,
Because
no.
she's, of course,
has to be
pushing, and she's pushing out with her legs. So
Yep.
you've got to hook your arm around her thigh.
Yep.
Meanwhile, I had to
And
hold
you're
the
like-
top of the bed over here, and I'm just like... And then, as soon as that was over, I had to grab her hand, and then she tried to kill me with it.
You know,
So it was a definite, like, much smoother leading up to than the actual event. The actual event was crazy, but is over fast. And, you know, before we had any time to even think about what the heck is the doctor doing, because now I'm holding my wife's leg while she gives birth.
Right.
I shouldn't be there, not a trained medical personnel. It was over. And before I could blink, I had already cut the umbilical cord, and they were taking him off to be washed.
Yeah.
So
That
it
is
was
really
mercifully
fast.
quick. Otherwise, I probably would have punched that doctor.
So it worked out for you, Reid, that it was
Well-
a quick process, I guess.
Worked out is kind of a strong term for that. It just went faster than I could realize. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pardon my French.
No, you're fine.
But it was mercifully quick. And then I was too distracted by him being in the room and being on the planet now.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see her and the nurses going and through and delivering the placenta.
Oh.
Because that's
It's a
one
good
thing
distraction.
I'm like, I don't care if I see the kid being born.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't want to see that alien monstrosity.
Yeah. It's kind of a
Of all
whole
the
nother
weird things to
thing.
be hung up on.
Yeah. So what did
but
you
there was
think,
that.
like, first impressions when you got to hold him and see him and...
Way different than with my brother, of course.
Sure. Yeah,
Although
sure.
nothing could prepare you actually for that moment. I mean, no matter how many pictures I saw of him, whether it be like the 3D sonogram, which is actually terrifying.
That's why we didn't have one done. I don't think I'd ever want
to see that again.
Mike says they really look like aliens in that, so we did not get one done.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a PS2 horror game.
It is.
Everything's blocking it, and you're like, is that a nose or is that an arm? I don't know what this is.
And you're just expecting it to go.
Yeah. But no matter how many pictures I saw of him, nothing could have prepared me for actually holding him.
Yeah.
And granted, I did get to hold him first because they were already done washing him when they were still doing the afterbirth and dealing with Lynn's episiotomy, which is, by the way, where the med student went in and screwed up. Not only did the med student...
They let the med student cut her?
No, the doctor cut her. But the med student went in to numb her and stitch it up and missed a lot with the numbing stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so the doctor went to stitch it up and just handed it to the med student without asking. And after I seen Lynn's leg jerk and she yelled, "Get off!" I was like, okay, I'm going to stay over here where it's not Armageddon and just let that happen because she'll take care of it.
My vagina hurts so much right now. I'm having a hard time sitting still.
Was he pretty laid back, like as a baby, or was like some, every baby is so different, but was he pretty just like, okay, this is life now, or hate it here?
A little of both.
Yeah.
I'd say that I hated here was definitely the first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And to the point to where neither of us could do anything that would make him get quiet until we stopped doing everything.
Yeah.
It took us that long to realize they feed off of the parents' emotional state that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we would just wake up and like, I can't believe you're awake. And he's like, I can't believe I'm awake either. What are you going to do about it? And then we got him to calm down by just going, all right, he's awake. We just got to deal with this. He's like, all right, I just got to eat and poop and not do anything else. I can deal with this. Oh, wait, now I got to pee on that person. As soon as they move the diaper. In 3, 2. Which is another thing that I knew, but I didn't know until it happened. In the back of your head, you're like, I know this is going to happen when I change this diaper. So here's new diaper. Here's old diaper. Ha! Ha ha ha. Why did I look? Which went from annoying me to pissing me off because you just wasted 2 diapers. I had to go at 3 in the morning to get those.
Oh,
yeah.
That's funny.
We put when Ollie was like little, we put a wipe over his pee-pee.
That doesn't work when they get some pressure in the system.
That doesn't work well.
I've made it to 2 years, and I've not been peed on.
I said that doesn't work when they get some pressure in the system. Because it would just lift off with that freaking wipe. It just rocket ship.
Still do the same thing.
Now they have...
That's insult to injury, by the way. You get hit with the wipe, and then you get hit with the pee.
Yeah.
It's now the thing that's supposed to clean you.
But when they're little, it's heavy enough. When they're little, it's heavy enough, though, that, like, even if they go, it doesn't, When they get older, I don't know. I don't have an answer. I don't have a solution for that part.
You know what they call it in the military? Strategy. They lull you into a false sense of security, and then right as soon as you're like, oh, this isn't going to happen, and then you're walking around like this because you want to say you got a black eye from your kid peeing too hard.
That's
black eye.
So how did that translate into later years with your son, though?
It's amazing how much less, and this is going to sound terrible, but trust me on this, how much less of a fuck you give when they stop giving a fuck.
Yeah.
It's
I can see
like
that.
the minute, well, they stop treating it like life and death because it's no longer life and death if you don't eat every 2 hours.
Yeah.
And now it just becomes
Yes.
sort of meh to both of you,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine because then you both sort of bond on that. Like, this sucks. And I know it sucks, but we got to do it, right? Yeah, we got to do it. All right, high five. Let's go. But it has gotten significantly mellower. And I'm pretty sure that's just because, well, might be because he's a boy. And I have 4 brothers. I'm the oldest of all of them. So I sort of seen a lot of that behavior. And I think boys tend to be a little bit mellower in the middle of the range, like after the baby, after the toddler, because every toddler is a jerk, I think.
Yeah.
In
Seems
the
fair.
kid area before you get to teenager.
Mm.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah. And you seem
That's
to care
actually, I
less
feel
about
like,
it too.
yeah, and I feel like that's when they start doing the really cute shit that like makes you actually think about having another. Where it's like, you know, like I had like a dental hygienist when I was pregnant tell me that, like, you know, when I told her I was having a son, she was like, oh my God, she was like, so after my son was probably like 6 or 7 years old, it just got, a lot of things changed, and he would like leave her like notes and like just really cute shit that like they obviously can't do when they're toddlers, but like, and then they turn into assholes because they become teenagers. So there's like just this short period of time where you're like, I really do love you. And then it changes again. And you're like, never mind.
Yeah, he's definitely in that stage, being 10. He's enough still in the whole, oh, I love you stage that you're like, okay, you can continue to live here for a while. But he's sort of also getting into the teenage stuff where I know the dreaded talk is coming soon, especially when you see him doing things like, I used to do that before I started. Oh my God. Oh, I don't want to deal with this. Oh, I don't want to do it when I went through it.
So that's a real moment then.
Yeah, that's a real realization. At least I had.
Yeah.
Because in the back of my brain, I'm like, I'm not going to treat that like anything. My dad was super awkward when he tried to give me the talk at like 14. I'm like, Dad, you're late.
I already saw a baby be born.
Yeah. Well, I'm always thinking in the back of my head, like, I'm not going to be like that. And then I see him doing that. And part of my brain goes, ah! Again, there's that moment back. And the other part of my brain goes, shit, I know where this goes. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
No matter how much you dread about it, you got to go. Because it's not stopping. They're not going to stop aging no matter how much you want them to. Like, no, he still helps. Stay here. Like, don't go any further.
Yeah.
He's gonna. And he's going to be a dick. Well, fine.
Yeah.
I was a dick too.
Yeah.
Like, I already see it coming. I was that. So this is just me paying my dues. And sure enough.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, sure enough, I've talked to my own father about some of this. And he had, I think, the only reaction that a parent can have when hearing their child go through the same thing that they dealt with when you were that age. And that was, sucks, don't it?
Yeah.
And I knew from the very beginning, I'm not going to be the type of parent that hides everything that they could get hurt with.
Yeah.
But I'm also not going to be the type of parent that goes, wait. Just wishes. Because he won't do it a second time. It's sort of a mix of that. If I know it's not going to be a hospital bill,
sure,
I'll let him do it. But at the same time, I'm not going to go through and put foam padding on every corner and everything like that, which is ridiculous. The hospital hands you those forms. You guys remember those?
Which forms?
The what forms?
Well, my hospital handed me a bunch of forms of suggested methods to baby-proof your house and stuff.
They gave us a book.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we got a book.
I got a printout of forms that thick.
Oh, our book was probably about that thick. It had multiple chapters.
Ours was a little book. Yeah. And they're all suggestions. They make it very clear that it's just a suggestion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Meanwhile, I flip through them like, nope, 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 nope. Oh, that's a good one. I'm not going to do it, but that's a
And
good
I
one.
think, well, some parents, I feel like some of that comes natural. They just do it because like the desire to do it is so strong in them. And I think that's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm lazy. And I've done, you know, like, well, Oliver can pull down the fucking baby gates. Like, he goes over to it and he goes, and he like yanks it off the wall. And so it's like, that was our last safety measure.
Unless you get the gates like ours and they're screwed into the wall.
Yeah.
We had one of those.
We
And then
have
We
just
have
the
one at
wooden
the top
that,
of the
like, used the
stairs.
pressure.
we have 3 of those.
Yeah, we have one at the top of the stairs, but our other ones are just those little like
Wooden ones.
cheapy wooden ones.
Yeah, we got a couple of
But-
things like that. We got the baby gates, and then we got the little doorknob covers that have
Yes.
the 2 holes in the
Yep.
side. You have to reach in and grab that to turn it.
That's what we
And
have.
the way I looked at that, like, if he can figure out the technology, then he can go wherever is beyond that door. And if he still gets hurt, then he jumped the gun. As long as it's not a hospital trip.
Ollie's really close to figuring out doors, but we have them, but we haven't had to put them up yet, thankfully. And outlet covers, he pulls them out. He sticks his little edge of his fingernail in them and pops them out. And then tries to plug things up, like the vacuum, or like other things that I'm not going to admit to. But yeah, like he just knows, he knows how to turn things on. Like he's constantly thinking about things and watching us and copying us. And like he's done this twice. The vacuum cleaner was plugged in because I had just used it and it would be like in the middle of the floor because I wasn't finished. He would go over to it and turn it on and it would scare the shit out of him. And he would run away. And it's like, okay, but to be fair, you know how buttons work. Like,
You did that to yourself. Don't come running to me.
Yeah, he did. He totally did.
It's the same thing with the animals, too.
It's what?
It's the same thing
With
with
animals?
the animals. Yeah, like if you're going to do something that we tell you not to do, and the animal turns around and smacks you or claws you just to get you off of them, then that's you on you.
That's definitely where we are with our cats right now. We have the one cat who, he's so cute, and he presents his little belly, and he goes, meow. It's a trap. It's a trap. And she's going to learn one day. She's going to learn one day that it's a trap. And then she won't do it again.
Or it'll take more than once, because I've seen that too.
Hopefully not.
Ollie got to this thing where he thought it was funny to scream at them, like really pitchy scream. He would just walk up, the cat would be, right in front of him, and he would just go, ah, like at the top of his lungs. And the cat would just stare at him with these ears back like, what in the fuck? And then he looks at me, and then he laughs, and then he does it again until the cat runs away. And he thinks it's funny, and I tell him, Oliver, no one wants to hear that shit. Why are we doing this?
No.
Like, but the cats just stare at him like, what is wrong with you?
So what has it been like, because out of all of the dads we're talking to, your son is the oldest. Like how is that compared to, like, we've talked about toddlers, and then you said he's a little on the autism spectrum. So like, how has that affected your relationships? How has that part of the journey been?
Less happened than I expected would, but different things happened instead.
Okay.
Like, he never really was one of the kids to get into doing sports or anything, which I figured I'd be taking him to like baseball or basketball, which I never really got into as a kid either. But I figured maybe his friends would lead him more towards that. Well, they didn't, because he was in class with most of the other kids that are on the spectrum as well. So why I kind of feel like I missed out on some of the things. There were also a lot of things that he and I have done together that I don't think we could have if he wasn't on the spectrum a little bit. Like actually sitting down when he's having problems, or when he starts to throw a fit or something, and realizing that he needs to sit there and talk to somebody rather than just throwing a fit like a normal kid. And I use normally subjectively.
Typical.
Yeah.
Typical. Yeah.
So I did get a lot of those moments with him where it's just me and him talking, because I venture to say we've had less, since he's been older, less of a father-son relationship, more of a sort of friendship.
Okay.
Which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
Because you still have the father-son moments and everything where you're teaching him how to do stuff.
Sure.
But you also have those moments where you can sit down and just, throw on a video game and sit there and play with each other and talk to each other like two kids of the same age would. Part of that could probably be said for immaturity with me, but I don't care. My inner child still runs the place, and as far as I'm concerned, that's how you stay young and sane when you have kids.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a bit of a mixed bag, but I don't think anybody could ever look back on having kids and be 100% honest and not say it was a mixed bag. Because no matter what expectations that I've seen, no matter what expectations you have, you're never going to meet all of those. Yeah. But then again, your kids are going to surprise you in ways that you never thought. So you're going to have a whole new set of experiences than you were even ready for, which is kind of a lot to think about. But at the same time, when they happen, you're just kind of shrugging like, he's my kid.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we say all the time, like, we've shared things, we've talked about things, but it's like the reality is that kids, regardless of their age, are people who don't know how to be people. And we're supposed to be teaching them and showing them the way. And we really absolutely lose sight of that. I think that, I don't want to say everyone, because I feel like I definitely know parents our age that are not very good. But generally speaking, I feel like the newer generation of parents that is our age group, I feel like we are a lot more in tune with that part of things than like our parents were. Like, when I was growing up, my feelings didn't matter because I was a kid. Oliver's feelings about things matter just as much to me as his physical needs. And that's a new thing. That wasn't that common, at least not when I was growing up. My parents did not give a fuck. I'm gonna get something from the store, but you are not, just because I'm an adult and you're a kid. Like little things like that were other things as well, but like they didn't think about that then. The emotional parts of things didn't matter because, oh, you're just a kid. You're just a kid, just a kid. Like I heard that my whole life. Oh, you're a teenager. You don't know anything about love. Like that is, if you're watching this, do not fucking tell your teenagers that is one of the worst things you can say to a teenager. But anyway, like I think we do forget sometimes that they really are people who don't know how to be people. And sometimes it's hard in the moment to remember that, because then you're just like, oh, all right, fine. Like,
And I think the hardest part about being a parent that I've experienced isn't hospital trips, which I've been to a few. Yeah. It isn't doctors. It isn't bad news from school, worrying how they're doing. The worst and most difficult part that I can think of about being a parent is learning where that line is that you don't cross between being supportive and letting them do whatever they want.
Enabling. Yeah.
Yeah. You've got to treat them as a human, but also treat them as a human, like you said, that doesn't know how to human.
That doesn't know how to be. Yeah.
You can teach somebody without belittling them.
Yeah.
And that fine line is what makes probably a great parent from an okay parent.
Yeah. That's a hard one too.
It also makes good people for the next generation, rather than some people that don't care about other people as long as they think they're fine.
Yeah.
And I think that's our biggest responsibility of being parents, is to have our children grow up to take the world in a better direction than we took.
Yeah.
To be better humans than we are.
Right.
Yeah.
Angel, do you have anything else you want to ask? Or Reid, do you have anything else you want to add?
I think I've talked as much as I need to talk.
Okay.
So have I.
Oh.
My apologies to your editor.
It's just Mike.
You hear that, Mike? Whichever direction you happen to be.
He's over there currently, but he's going to be right here when he sees that.
Ah! Both directions at once.
Nothing. You'll see. You'll see. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to cliche it. Like, seriously, every time we talk to people, you learn so many different things.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's because each dad has had such a different experience.
Yeah,
And even learning things, like, as long as I've known Rick, I learned new things about him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've known Rick just as long as Angel's known Rick. And I think you and I have only met one time, maybe in person, maybe not.
I don't know. I've slept since then. I have a kid. That's my excuse for everything.
You were in the building at the same time briefly for our wedding, but otherwise, I don't think you guys have met.
No, maybe we missed each other. But yeah, I mean, really, you learn so much because I've heard so much about you and your child. And
Don't tell him that. Good God.
Good things.
Hang on. My alibi paperwork's around here somewhere.
So it's been nice actually hearing you talk about things and learning more about you and having you share your story with everybody.
Yeah.
Promise I don't ramble this much in person.
Yes, he does. That's not true.
Camera, microphone.
I was going to say, I have a hard time believing that.
It's like a dog. When I get excited, I get stupid. You just start down, Dino, down.
Oh, like a chihuahua?
No. Don't ever compare me to that again.
Facial expression. No. Mm-mm.
Oh, on that note, make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell. I went blurry. Hold on.
That's it.
Okay, let's try that again.
That's the universe hating you for comparing me to a chihuahua.
What? So make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon so you get notified when we share more awesome content like this. And
that one down there.
There. Also,
I forgot where I am again.
You're not there.
You know. Also,
I'm pointing to it because I'm on the right side. Right down there.
It's all good. Make sure you also check our description box or somewhere on the screen right here and check out Reid's YouTube channel. If you want more of this scruffy face behind video games, check out his channel, which is called
Super Game Gramps.
Super Game Gramps.
I don't talk about mommies or pregnancy.
But it's highly entertaining anyways.
He's super, super funny.
Super funny. So check that out. And then make sure you follow us on social media as well, at Momestly on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And that's all we have for you tonight, today, right now.
Whatever time it may be while you're watching this video.
That's right. And we will see you next time. Bye, moms.